Vayichan Sham Yisrael Neged Hahar Ahar Kulanu Ke'echad.
I want to begin by thanking my dear friend Rav Tarragon and Rav Reuven Tarragon and the whole Chevra in Yeshiva's Hakotel for giving me the schus of participating in this magnificent honor of the Novominsk Rebbe's schus Yigalainu, and to prepare together with so many wonderful rebellion and Rosh Yeshivas and Nashim Sadkanias to prepare for Kabbalah Torah, for Shavuos. So let me begin with a story of the Tzaddik, the Beis Yaakov from Ishbitz. The Ishbitzer, the Beis Yaakov, was a huge Talmud Chacham, and every night during the week, from 12 o'clock until 4 in the morning, he would give a very in-depth shiur in gemara, a shiur be'iyun in gemara to only an elite select group of the top Talmidei Chachamim in Ishbitz. And there was a Jew who was part of that and lived many years afterwards, and he described what it was like when he was an old man, and he said that I'll never forget how the Rebbe would walk in exactly at 12 o'clock. The Rebbe would come in, and he had two gaboim, and there was one that was holding a candle, and the other was holding the gemara. And the Rebbe would come in, would begin exactly at 12, and the learning was unbelievable. But I can't remember, he said, this shiurim from so many years ago. I don't remember the shiurim. But what I do remember is that exactly at 4 in the morning when the shiur was finished, the Rebbe would close the gemara and would give it a kiss. And the way the Rebbe kissed the gemara has stayed with me my entire life and has sustained me. So I want to talk about kiss, that kiss of the gemara. Because Maimon HaSinai wasn't just a learning event. It wasn't a great Yom Iyun, a big Beis HaMedrash. It was a chasna. It was a wedding. And Chazal, the Mishnah and Tanis, bring the pasuk of Tzaddik V'Anabanasim B'Melech Shlomo. The daughters of Yerushalayim, go and look at Shlomo HaMelech. Ba'atar She'etrulai Imai B'Yom Chasunaso. Go look at the crown that his mother made for him on the day of his wedding. And the Mishnah identifies Yom Chasunaso as Matan Torah, the day of the wedding of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Knesset Yisrael. It was a chasna. And because of that, the Zohar Kodesh tells us that the Jewish people, Knesset Yisrael, was like the bride preparing for her wedding. But this Kala in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, was held in the grips of impurity, of that ugliness of the world of Mitzrayim. And the entire time of Sfiras HaOmer, after leaving, the entire time of Sfiras HaOmer is a time of the Sofra Shivas Yomim. The 7 weeks are like the Kala, preparing and purifying herself for the 7 days. And Rabbi Shimon says, Kidei lihitar b'mayim al yonim hakadoshim, that the Jewish people, the Kala, had to be purified in the supernal waters, the holy waters, the supernal waters of Kedusha. V'chagach b'chag HaShavuos yizku lovel eschaber b'melach u'lekabel es tarasa. So that finally, after the 7 weeks, the 7 days, 7 weeks of purification, the Kala would be able to be brought to be together with the king, with her husband. And Kach Omer Rashbi, Rabbi Shimon Yochai said, B'shashnes kabsu ha'chaverim b'zeh halayla. On the night of Shavuos, when the chaverim would gather together with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, we can't imagine what that was like. On the night of Shavuos, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai would say to the chaverim, to the other Tanoim, Novo l'sakin es atachshitim shel hakala. Let us here tonight, let us prepare the adornments of the bride of the Kala. She has Shechina. So that tomorrow, on the day of Shavuos, that the bride will be completely adorned in all of her tachshitim, kedei laha'aloisa karoi el hamelech, in order to be able to bring her in a way that is proper and fitting as a bride to her husband, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the king. We have an entire sefer, shiurim, that speaks of the preparation, of the relationship, of the difficulty in bringing that about. And throughout that sefer, the Jewish people, the bride, is referred to as Ra'aya. Achaisi, Rayasi, my sister, my beloved companion, my bride. Hinach Yofer Rayasi, Enayach Yonim, you're so beautiful, your eyes like the eyes of a dove. Yofad Rayasi Ketirtza Navak Yerushalayim, you're so beautiful, you're like Yerushalayim. Now there are two meanings to the word Raya. One is Samech Samach Reyim Ha'ahuvim, and a Raya means a beloved companion. A beloved companion. L'man achai v're'ai, for the sake of my brothers, my friends. Chavivin Yisrael shenikru re'im, that the Jewish people are very dear to Hashem. We're called re'im of Hashem. That's one meaning of the word raya. The second meaning of the word raya is from the lashon of ro'eh, reish vav ayin hey, like a shepherd, which means a caretaker. Kivakaras ro'eh edro. Kivakaras ro'eh edro, like the shepherd who is watching after his flock. Yaakov says to Yosef at Tzadik, Elokim haroa osi me'odi ad hayom hazeh, that Hashem has watched over me, has taken care of me for my entire life. And Chazal say an amazing thing. Mahu ra'ayasi. What does it mean? What does it mean in that context? How are we the ra'aya? How are we the caretaker of Hashem? What does that mean? Mahu ra'ayasi. And Chazal say, Mefanisasi. Mefanisasi hein shirayim. That in some way, if it wouldn't be written, we wouldn't be allowed to say such a thing, but in some way, we kivyachol are Hashem's caretaker in this world. We look after him. We watch after him. These two definitions of raya correspond to the two roles of the akeres habayis, of the Jewish woman, the Jewish wife. On the one hand, there's that raya, which means her role as a woman. Roeh, the one who takes care of, the one who helps and takes care of, that is a lashon of roeh, of caretaker and shepherd. Because Chazal tell us, the Sugi and Ksubas, that there are two essential roles that the Jewish woman has. One is liyofi. Yofi means that role as a wife, as a woman rather, which means yofi, the beauty, the intimacy of that friendship, of that companionship, of the relationship itself that is very hidden between the husband and wife. The second role of the woman is to be a wife who takes care of her husband, who takes care of the family, and there it's not particularly romantic. Sheva malachas ish ois l'bayla. There are jobs that traditionally a woman has in the home in order to see to it that home be comfortable and to take care of and look after her husband. The Baruch Shalom is the husband, is the balabas. The tzaddikim say that the word breishis in the beginning contains the two words rosh bayis. Hashem is the rosh bayis. Hashem is the balabas. He's the rosh bayis. Creation, this world is his home. The tachlis of creation, as it's spelled out in Chazal and the Tanchuma, and discussed at length in the Sefarim HaKadoshim, is nis'ava HaKadosh Baruch Hu liyos lo dir b'tachtonim. That Hashem, for whatever reason, had a desire to dwell in this world, together with us, to be in this world, and this world is his home. And he has a wife. He has a kala, a bride. Knesset Yisrael. And Knesset Yisrael is the akeres habayis of Hashem in this world. And just like every wife traditionally, there are two domains, there are two tchumim in that relationship between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Knesset Yisrael. The first is not particularly romantic. It's very, very difficult. The Sheva Malachis, the 7 types of work that correspond to the 7 midas of Chesed, Gvur, Tiferes, and so on, to perfect ourselves, to work so hard, keeping Hashem's mitzvahs, cleaning this world up, preparing delicious meals, kivyachol, for Hashem with our mitzvahs, with our davening, with our learning, to try to drive away some of the darkness, the filth that settles into this house, this world. That aspect of the relationship of being Hashem's wife is filled with nisyanis, with tremendous challenges, and bizyainis. It's so hard. It's so hard. I remember that when we lived in Far Rockaway, there was a wonderful woman on the block, very educated, very refined, and very overwhelmed by her kids. And I remember she would walked out on the street, kids screaming and yelling and pulling at her, and she wore a sweatshirt and it said, "For this I went to college, for this I received an education," something like that. It involves a lot of bizyanis, a lot of nisyanis. This world is not an easy place, and Hashem has placed us in this world to work, and it's hard. The work is hard, it's backbreaking, but Hashem trusts His wife. Hashem trusts His wife. They were going to get the job done, and to be faithful to Him, and to work hard in this world with all of the 7 malachas, with all of those malachas that are required of us. Really, there are 613 mitzvahs and thousands of drabbanans, which are all part of our work in this world as Hashem's wife. It's not glamorous. It's difficult. It's challenging. And sometimes we feel like just throwing in the towel. But we continue. We continue on. But the second role of Knesset Yisrael as Hashem's bride, even after thousands of years, Hashem's bride, the Kala. And here the Tachlis is Yichud, is intimacy and love, to be unified in great love with our beloved, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And from that perspective, the vacuuming, the cleaning, the cooking, all of the mitzvahs, all of the things of this world, as valuable and as precious as they are, everything of this world is nothing compared. It's all havalim compared to the tachlis, which is the yichud of Nisav, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Nisav is a lashon of taiva, and it contains within it the mystery of ani v'ata. Hashem says, me and you, just the two of us. There's nothing that was more romantic than that, than our following Hashem off into the wilderness and to go on that journey, to begin that journey together with Him through history. The Midbar, Rabbi Weinberger says that the desert was the Cheder HaYichud. It was like the Yichud room. There was nothing else there, just us and Hashem. It's the Cheder HaYichud. Ani l'doidi v'doidi li v'ani lo. Hinach yofer hayasi. Umum ein bach. Umum ein bach. That's the Kala. That's the bride after so many years. More beautiful than ever. The intimacy, the closeness of the bride, of the Chassan and Kala. Now, Kabbalah Satira, Shavuos, is Yom Chasunasa. And that event began with Anochi Hashem Elokecha and Lo Yilecha Elohim Acherim. And those two expressions of absolute Devekus and Yichud, I am essentially, I am your husband. There are to be no others. Only me. It's only me, no one else. Anochi Hashem Elokecha and Lo Yilecha, those could only be heard, panim el panim, pe el pe. Those could only be heard directly from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Those cannot be heard through a messenger. That's the relationship of Reyim Ahuvim. That's the Yichud. That's that Devekus of a husband and a wife. The rest of the Dibros correspond to the Malachas that a wife, that are required of a wife, and of course a husband with a wife, in their relationship of managing the home. And that refers to the achrayis, to the tremendous responsibilities of the rest of the mitzvahs, positive mitzvahs and negative mitzvahs, and so on. Now, in Shir Hashirim, the pasuk says at the very beginning, "Yishakenim in the shikois piyu, Yishakenim in the shikois piyu." I'm asking you to kiss me with the kisses of your lips. Ki tovim d'dechem yayin, because your love is more dear to me than wine. So, like in the tests we used to take when we were in Yeshiva, there was a part of the test of mi amar al mi. Who said this to whom? It's a big question. Nishakeim and nishikois piyu. Someone is asking for a kiss. It's not clear. Is the kala asking the chassan for a kiss, or is the chassan asking the kala for a kiss? So the Navi Amos, in Perek Ches, pasuk at Aleph, there's a very well-known pasuk because of the song. Hine yomim boim nu'um Hashem v'shlachti ra'av ba'aretz. Days are coming, and I will send a famine into the land, into the world. Lo rav la'achem, but it won't be a hunger for bread, lo tzarma l'mayim, or a thirst for water. Kim l'shmoas divrei Hashem, there'll be a hunger and a thirst for divrei Hashem. And the Navi tells us what's going to be, particularly at the end of time. V'no'u miyam ad yam. We're going to wander from ocean to ocean. Mitzafim vad mizrach, to north, east, all around. Yishayta to levakesh es dvar Hashem. Jews are going to be seeking throughout the world to find the dvar Hashem. And it's going to be very hard for them to find the Dvar Hashem. So in the Gemara in Shabbos, Lef Kuf Lamed Ches, there's a machlokes. What is the Dvar Hashem? What is meant by the Dvar Hashem? Yesh, I remember there's an opinion that says, Zu halacha, that the Dvar Hashem that the Jewish people are going to be desperately looking for, that's halacha. And Yesh, I remember there's another view that says in the Gemara there that it's nevuah, it's prophecy, it's nevuah. In other words, there's an opinion that says that the Dvar Hashem that we're going to be desperately looking for, especially at the end of time, is the Gemara, is learning the Gemara, Zu halacha. And the other opinion says, Zunuvu's prophecy. That means the Beis Yaakov's kiss of the Gemara, Yishakedim in the shikois piyu. Because there are two kisses, Yishakedim in the shikois piyu. There's the kiss of halacha, and Hashem is asking for that kiss, that we kiss Him with that faithfulness, that loyalty of being Jews, Hashem Torah mitzvahs. It's the neshika of halacha, of taking care of our responsibilities in this world. And then you have the neshika, the kiss of prophecy of nevuah, where the kala is asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the kala is saying to Hashem, Master of the world, it's so hard for us. We want to serve you faithfully, but it's been so many years since we felt that closeness. It's been so many years since we felt beautiful in your eyes, since we felt like a woman, like a bride. We're working hard as a wife, but as a woman, as a bride, it's been so many years, it's so hard. There was an old song when we were in high school, I know a woman who became a wife. These were the very same words she used to describe her life. A woman who became a wife. And Knesset Yisrael is saying, Rebbe Shalom, kiss us with that kiss, that we should remember that we're your bride, that we're your kala. So, on the one hand, Knesset Yisrael, the Jewish people, are chalishing a longing for the time of the first Beis HaMikdash, what it was like when there was prophecy, there was nevuah, there was such an intimacy, a closeness, the kruvim. It was a time that began with David HaMelech, and then Shlomo HaMelech, and Shir Hashirim, and Yichud, and beauty, and Malchus. That was the first Beis HaMikdash. It was so beautiful. It was so romantic. Rav Kook calls it the period of Ha'idei Ha'elokis, of the divine idea, of that relationship, that intimacy. The second Beis HaMikdash is the neshika, is the kiss of halacha, the religious idea Rav Kook calls Ha'idei Hadosis, Teresh Bal Peh, the seven malachas, Chavivim Dirvei Seifim, V'yena Shel Torah. That's the Dvar Hashem, that's the kiss of our faithfulness to Hashem, of halacha. That since the Churban Beis HaMikdash, Chazal tell us that all HaKadosh Baruch Hu has in this world are the Daled Amas of halacha. The Daled Amas of halacha. Now, Cheva, there is one more opinion over there in the Gemara Shabbos, what Dvar Hashem is. Zakates. There's an opinion that says that it's referring to redemption, to Mashiach Tzidkeinu. Because, of course, what we're longing for is that there should be both of these kisses. There should be both kisses. The Gemara in Hedron asks, for whose sake was the world created? One opinion says it was created for the sake of Moshe Rabbeinu. And Rashi says, who gave us the Torah, the lawgiver. Halacha, Dvar Hashem is halacha. Torah Shabbat Peh, Gemara. That's one kiss. The other opinion says the world was created for David HaMelech. Rashi says, who would sing beautiful songs to Hashem, the intimacy, the woman, the yichud, the relationship, the ahava, the love. That's David HaMelech. In later times, this would materialize in the two kisses of the light for the Baal Shem Tov HaKodesh, which is a kiss of prophecy, of that inner world, that mysterious world of intimacy, of prophecy, of devekus, of yichud, of the woman, and the or of the gra, the light of the Vilna Gaon, which is the kiss of Torah, the kiss of Torah, the kiss of halacha, the kiss of the second base of Mikdash, the Dvar Hashem zu halacha. When the Gemara tells us that ultimately the Gemara ends and says that ultimately the world was not created for the sake, not of Moshe Rabbeinu and not of David HaMelech, but the world was created for the sake of Mashiach Tzidkenu. Dvar Hashem is the Kates, which means the magnificent integration of those two worlds, which was the Novominsker Rebbe. Those two kisses of Torah, of greatness in Torah, of halacha, Dvar Hashem is halacha, the kiss of that hard work of the wife, halacha, and the Dvar Hashem, the Chassidus, the Dvar Hashem, the Or Baal Shem Tov, the Gra, the light of the Gra and the light of the Baal Shem Tov merged together in that tzaddik, who I was able to meet many times, and we became mishpacha because my mechutton is his nephew. So Rav Kook writes in his letters about this a number of times. He says the following. The Hebrew is much more beautiful, but I'll read in the translation of two excerpts from his letters. In the latter generations, all the conversations of the disciples of the Vilna Gaon, taken together with the disciples of the Baal Shem Tov, who was so diametrically opposed to one another in their day, is very lovely to us. In their day, they were so apart. That separation has been between those two worlds of the Vilna Gaon and the Baal Shem Tov, those two kisses. But Rav Kook says in later generations, now these conversations between the two were now joining together and were fused together in that world of the Rebbe, of the Novominsker Rebbe, is very lovely to us. And he writes, the spirit of revival pulsates within us as these two forces reaffirm their claim. Let us welcome the divine spirit, the reappearance of Eliyahu and prophecy, once the conditions are ripe, in harmony with the insights of gemara and systematic study. That's where everything is moving to right now, Chavra. The fusion of those two worlds, those two kisses, because at the end, Yishakenim and Yishikais Piyu is that as Jews we can't live if we don't have both of those kisses. Dvar Hashem zu halacha and Dvar Hashem zu nevuah, David HaMelech and Moshe Rabbeinu, those two worlds of limud haTorah, halacha, the hard work that the wife does for Hashem in this world, together with the intimacy, the love, the romance of the Kala under the chuppah. Those are the two worlds that met in the mind and the heart of that tzaddik, Rabbi Yaakov Perlau, the Novominsker Rebbe. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said on the night of Shavuos, when the sefarim gathered together, Bo nesaken tachshit Kala, let us be mesaken the tachshitim of the Kala. Let us prepare the Kala for the chasna. We have an actual ksuba. We have tanoim and a ksuba, shtar, that the great Paitan, Rabbi Yisrael Najara, wrote, one of the Talmidim from the world of the Arizal wrote, that is printed in many of the Zmiris that we say by Shavuos. Bez Hashem is Baruch Lamazel Tov, Amagim Yereshus Achvis, Hu Yitain Shem Tov V'Sheres, Leila Divyat Tanoim V'Abrish, Nidru V'Husnu, Met Shnei HaStadim L'Shem L'Seferes, Dahainu, Mitzad Echad Yochad Yuchad Barikol. The chasna is that Echad Yuchad, the creator of all that is. Kadmon ilas sibas asibas ay mitzad atzmai. Ay mitzad hasheni aloi Knesset Yisrael. Kala kruah b'niyim, the beautiful Kala, which is Knesset Yisrael. It's the beautiful Kala. So Chaver, once there was a woman who came to the Kohen Samagin, and she was crying, and he said he didn't look at women, and he asked her what happened, what's the wrong, and she said, my husband left me. He left me. He's been gone for so long. And the Kohen Samagin said, don't worry, he's going to come back to you. She said, why did he leave you? So she said, he told me that he didn't find me attractive anymore, that I wasn't beautiful to him anymore. So the Kohen Samagin didn't look, and he said, is that true that you're not the way that you once looked? So she said, look, Rebbe, you might be a big tzaddik, but I remember how he looked at me under the chuppah. It's unforgettable, and I don't think that beauty has disappeared. I believe it's still there. And I believe he just has to look at me again and to see that beauty that's there. And the Kohen Samagid began to cry and gave her a bracha that he's going to return. And after she left, he said to his son, it's been so many years. This was Erev Shavuos. It's been so many years, and sometimes we feel that we've lost that beauty in Hashem's eyes, and he's left us, Chalila. But Hashem's going to come back because he remembers the chasna, he remembers Shavuos, he remembers the chuppah, he remembers Yafad Rayos Yamum Ein Bach Einayich Yanim. Hashem will never ever forget us. Hashem will never ever forget the way we looked under the chuppah, and he knows that we've gotten we're a little bit overworked, we're a little bit beaten, we're a little bit tired, and some of the maybe some wrinkles have set in, and the years have taken a toll on us. But at the end, Hashem, we're asking you, Samech Tesamach, Ve'yem Ha'ahuvim Kesamechecha Yitzircha B'Gan Eden, with the Gula Shem V'Amitis, V'Mher B'Yameinu, Amen. Amen.